Hello, I'm Igor Sandman. I'm a pixel artist. I make a pixel art piece every day, and today the theme on Pixel Dailies is Howls. The character Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. Uh, as you can see here, it's behind my face cam. As you can see here, I'm using this reference. I picked this one for to get a feel of all the colors of the design. I don't know if I will use. Well, I couldn't find an interesting pictures from interesting picture from the character in full body size. I only could find this, but it's okay because I know that the rest of the design is simple. It's pants and normal shoes, so I don't worry too much about it. Let's see here. I will probably start like yesterday. I will probably start with a lighter skin tone that I usually use. Usually I start with this one, you know, and then I light it with this. But looking at the picture, I think it would be better to make it much lighter. I did the same yesterday. I'm thinking I'm not sure what I want to do with the pose of the character. I like this kind of pose, but it's a bit too subtle. The gesture is a bit too subtle to do in pixel art. It won't be easy. I will probably try something more expressive with the body. I'm trying to figure out a pose that could express the same kind of attitude, but with the whole body instead of just the arm and the hand. Let's see. I will just block shapes and see what I can get. I want to have him lean forward. Nah, that's not working. You see, I'm looking for something like this, with the hand that would extend somewhere like this. But I need to work on it because that's not enough. I'm also thinking, as you know, I need to think of the pose, but I also need to make sure that the proportions are what I need. So it's two things at the same time. It's not really easy. Right now I'm trying to push along a torso. Let's see. I need to try something else. It's not working. I got several questions yesterday, not specifically about pixel art, but I thought I could talk about it anyway. It was questions about, there were questions about, you know, making games on your own, making the art and the code on your own. And I guess I could talk about that. I'm not by any means an expert in game dev, you know. I'm not as good a game developer as I am a pixel artist, but I can share my own experience. I got some question from, let me see, Ricardo Joachim. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's asking, well, first the conversation started with him asking if I would recommend Unity or Game Maker. These are the two engines he's considering. And as I said on Twitter, personally I'm using Unity, but I'm not sure I would recommend it for if you are a beginner and you want to make 2D games. It's not the best engine, mainly because it's complicated. I believe, in my opinion, it's overly complicated for simple 2D games. You don't need it. It's good because it's very versatile. You can make many things with it. The most obvious being 3D games, if you want to make 3D games later. Actually, I started learning game dev with Game Maker, and then I switched. I don't really remember why. I think I realized that Unity is more versatile, so I thought maybe I should take the opportunity now that I'm learning to change now before. Otherwise, I would have to learn Game Maker and then later change and learn Unity. But in retrospect, I should have probably stayed with Game Maker because it made my learning process much slower. Because Unity, there's a lot of stuff you need to learn before you can do anything interesting. So I'm not sure what I would recommend, but probably, if you want to make 2D games, as I think that's what you want to make, I would recommend Game Maker. It's much simpler. But if you know that later you will want to make something more complex, it's not that, well, if you know you want to make 3D games, it might be better to start with Unity, I don't know. What other questions did you ask? Next you ask, how was the learning curve for coding? Have you learned by yourself? Did you use some assets from the store? I actually, interestingly enough, I have a degree in programming that I never used until today. I got my degree like 15 years ago. I never used it. And then one day I decided to make games, and I realized, hey, I learned coding one day. So I couldn't really apply much of what I've learned back then because programming has changed in 15 years. There weren't no C# at school where it probably existed, but we didn't learn it. So yeah, that's how I learned the basic principles of programming. I don't know if you're new to programming or if you know a little bit about it, but the main thing about programming is the mindset, I think. There's a specific way of thinking when you are programming. You need to understand what's the structure of a program, Things like the architecture, the what's it called? Model view controller pattern, that kind of things. It's important to understand them, but you could probably make games without knowing all that, but it helps, Some people have thought about, what am I doing now? Some people have thought about the architecture for coding and what's best, how to organize your thoughts and how to organize your scripts, your actual scripts. So maybe it's a good idea to use what they have come up with. So I'm trying to use that. but maybe it would be to... I use it because I learned it at school, but maybe it's not a good idea to learn it when you are a beginner. I don't know. I should work on the code, because I just realized I'm working on the pose and everything, but the code will hide a lot of it, so I should work on that. Let's do it now. So to come back to your questions, how was the learning curve for coding? Well, my experience, it's probably not very, won't probably very useful to you, since I learned at school, some of it. But still, I had to learn C# and how to use it for games. I had to understand some things were completely new to me, like the fact that your code is running every frame. When you learn programming at school, you don't use that kind of environment, you know. Your program is just bits of code that are called by on specific occasion, like the user presses a button and something happens. But in a game, a lot of things are happening as the game runs, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say the learning, if you are working in Game Maker, learning will be easy, because it's some kind of scripting that's tailored for games, and it's made in a way that's kind of easy to understand. So I don't think you will have too much trouble learning programming, scripting in Game Maker. And I would recommend starting small. I don't know what games you have in mind for your first project, but maybe you should, before diving into your project, maybe you should, I don't know, think of something not too hard to make, like a shooter or a simple platformer, and find a tutorial on it and learn the basics with that, and then make your own game after that. I don't know. If you're lucky, the game you want to make is some kind of easy game, you know, if it's not a MMO or something. If you want to make an RPG, it's going to be hard as a first game, and it's time consuming. It's not really hard, but it's time consuming. And the organization of all your scripts is not very easy, not very obvious. Not sure what I want to do with this. I should probably keep his hand here. Something like this, maybe. What I just did here, you see, let me get back to this. I decided to put the hand here, and when I placed my lights, I realized there were no contrast. So I decided to add shadow here. If it wasn't for the hand, I would probably have put no shadows there. So I'm using, how to put it, when I paint, I'm not really looking for realism or believability. I'm modifying the shapes and the shadow and the light based on what I need. I need contrast here, so I put a shadow. I don't care if there should be a shadow or not, I just put it there. And very often it works. I want to make it longer, but I'm not sure how long. And also I'm not sure what I wanted to do with the lights. So what other question did you have? Have you learned by yourself? I kind of answered that. Did you use assets from the asset store? I'm kind of on the fence with the asset store. I often read. Recently, I read another. I often read coders complaining that when you are a coder and you need art, you cannot outsource it easily. You cannot buy it on the store. Otherwise, everybody has the same art. Whereas in code, you can buy code from the asset store and make your own art. The game will look different, but actually you use the code that already exists. So he was arguing that it's easier for artists, for solo artists, to make games rather than solo coder. But it's true to some extent, but I don't know, man. The asset store is great. I use it to learn things, but I rarely use an asset as is. It's it depends on what you want to make. You know, if you don't care, if you care for your game, let's put it this way: if you care for your game, you won't want to use a code that's already done. Maybe you will want to take that code and modify it, but how much will you modify it? Isn't it easier to make your own code that will only do what you want to make, as opposed to the asset that will do many things to cover every need that the user might have? You will have in an asset, you will have a lot of stuff that you don't need, and a lot of stuff that you need but aren't working like you want them to work. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence. Sometimes you're lucky and you find an asset that's working exactly like you want, and that's great. But in my experience, it doesn't happen very often. I'm stalling with this dude. I need to work on it. I need to focus a little bit. I'll work on the hair. I'll use this color as shadow. This is usually I use this color. That's the one I showed you at the start of this picture. It's the one I usually use to create the shadow for my skin tone. And I knew I wanted to create kind of brown, blonde, kind of almost ginger hair. So I know this is a color that works very well for that kind of hair. Which is why I shifted my hue also. Right now I'm kind of drawing strands a bit randomly, slightly randomly, until I find a shape that works for me. This could work. Yeah, this is working as a silhouette, as a massive shape, as a mass shape. It's working, but now I will have to create the details. I guess you've noticed by now that that's how I work usually. I create I take the shadow to create the mass. I focus on the pattern and the silhouette it's tracing and the flow of the shapes, and then I come over it with a lighter color to light it. And at this point I'm thinking about volume. I'm picturing a light source coming from there, and I'm trying to figure out the little insets and you know, the intricacies of this shape, and trying to put some highlights where the light would hit. Something like this. I don't know. Not very happy with this strand of hair. No, it's working. Yeah, I like it. I will make it lighter on some areas. Maybe not this yellow. I need contrast, so I use this one anyway. I'm not sure about this yellow. I should probably leave it like this without highlights, and maybe put one bright highlight where they should be. Ideally, I'm creating a scenario where the light is coming from here. So if I wanted to put a highlight with a white highlight, it would have to be on this side. But since I have a lot of small pixels, isolated pixels like this, I'm not sure I should, you know. The best place would be here, but it looks a bit odd, so I probably leave it like this. I don't know, I'm not really happy with how I have a lot of isolated pixels here. I like broader shapes like this. Yeah, I like it better. I will try to get the eyes right. What color should I use? I think I will use this. Yeah. I would like to use the eyes to create something interesting. Maybe something like this. I would like to try something a little bit... Nah, it's not working. Yeah, this is much better. My usual 2-pixel eye. Also, one thing that I usually do to create appeal on a character is put the eyes very low on the face. You see, I only have 1 pixel below the eyes. If I wanted to add a mouse, I would have to do this, you know, again, right against the eyes. It's the only thing that I've got left. I like this kind of, when the eyes are very low, it makes them look a bit like children. I'm trying to give him an interesting gesture with the end. This is nice. Do I have some... I would like to add 1 pixel here that is between those 2 colors, but I don't think I have it. Oh yeah, I have this. This is nice, I like it. It's hard to create gesture with so little pixels. Yeah, I leave it like that, it's nice, I like it. I'm happy with the end. And I think I should leave the arm like this. Okay, so this part is done. I think I should rework the cape because it's not working right now. Something like this. Much better. And it's probably too long. Something like this. Yeah. All right. I'm trying to suggest that there is an arm below, under the cape. So I'm adding a few pixels, a few darker pixels there. So what do I want to do with this cape? This will probably help me. I think I will be able to find something interesting with this character. Like this. All right. Now the volume is kind of defined, but I need to work. I'm saying I still don't know if I want to create this pattern. I don't like patterns in pixel art. It's just my personal taste. Just like I explained earlier, I had several isolated pixels there, you know, and I didn't like it. I like when things are more cohesive. And patterns like these, they are creating noise more than anything, so I don't know. I think I will just try something like this, you know. It looks like it is a skin color, so it's dangerous to use, but I don't know what else to use. You see, this is not working either. Maybe I shouldn't even light it. Maybe I should keep it like this. I like broad shapes like that, so maybe it works. I'll start this from scratch. Not sure. There's probably something I could do with this shape. While I think about it, I will create the pendant that he has. With this. This is nice. To get back to solo game dev, I think I think a lot about it, because You know, your main enemy when you are working alone is motivation, I think, in my experience. It's your biggest enemy. So it's, if you want to work alone, it's nice, but make sure you know yourself. Make sure you know how you mentioned, Ricardo, that you want to work full time on it, I think. Yeah, you said you want to dedicate full time on it. Make sure you know how to work alone on a long project before you do that. I'm not implying that you don't know, but just making sure. That's the biggest issue, is finding the motivation every day. I struggle with my motivation every day, every single day. And interestingly enough, I'm motivated by, I struggle with my own personal projects. When I'm making a game for a long period of time, I'm struggling with that game specifically. And if I need to make a job for a client, for instance, I don't have any trouble. I wake up in the morning and I do it. No questions asked. But when it's my own stuff, I don't know why. It's always harder. And there are, you need, I think you need to understand yourself and how you need to identify the patterns when you're trying to slack. Patterns like when you go to YouTube and you click on every single link that you are suggested, and you spend your entire day watching videos on YouTube, that kind of thing, or watching your Twitter feed and you're like, okay, a few more, and then before you realize it, you've been watching your feed for 2 hours. That kind of thing, at least to me, it doesn't happen when I'm working in a team, because the sense of responsibility is very different. When you're alone, it's your project, nobody is impacted by the fact that you work or not. It's tempting to just slack. And you blame yourself, you hate yourself for not working, but... Okay, I should probably finish this thing, right? I don't think I can improve it much. Thinking what can I do with this? Yeah, I'll play a little bit with the, well, I'll center it. No, it's fine. And I'll try a few things with the background color. See if I can make it pop a little bit. I really like it, and I especially like the fact that it's drawing the attention to the face and the torso. Because it's gray and the pants is very dark also. It's a dark gray and the pants are dark also. So it's working in my favor, I think. But I will try, nonetheless, I will try some I leave it like that. Okay, let's try something with the background. I've got a few colors, as you notice here, that I isolated from the rest. That's because they don't follow the same kind of rules as these. These are very saturated colors, except for maybe these purple, and obviously the grays. But they are very saturated, and these are more desaturated. And I usually use them for backgrounds. And another reason why I put them on the side is because I will probably modify them add other colors to them. Right now they're all very bright. If I want a dark background, I only have this one. And it's working nice, actually. What do you think? I think I will keep this one. It's nice. I will change the shadow. Let's try a purple one. Nah. Don't think purple will work. Oops. Oh yeah, it's working. I like it. But I should change the shoes now. Something like this. Yeah. Alright, let's call it a day. Well, I see you guys tomorrow then. If you have more questions or if you want me to talk about something specific, just comment on well, anywhere you want. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Reddit, obviously here on YouTube, so don't hesitate to ask, okay? See you.